They say genius never dies. But what if, sometimes, it comes back? In the heart of Vienna, hidden deep within the archives of the Musikverein, a page of sheet music was discovered in 2021, unmarked, uncatalogued, untouched for centuries. Symphonia Ultima, W.A. Mozart, Mozart's final symphony, the one the world was never meant to hear. At first, no one believed it. Music historians dismissed it as a forgery, another hoax feeding on the legend of a man who died too young. But then the researchers began to study the page, and that's when the mystery began. The handwriting matched perfectly. The paper, handmade linen from late 18th century Salzburg. The ink, identical to what Mozart used in his last confirmed works. And yet, the notes didn't sound like Mozart. When played on a piano, the melody was wrong. Too dark, too dissonant, too modern. It felt like Mozart, dreaming of something that shouldn't exist in his time. The archivist who found it said the music felt alive. He claimed the harmonies seemed to shift as he played them, like the notes resisted being understood. He died 2 months later. Officially, a stroke. Unofficially, that's where the story begins. Mozart's death in 1791 remains one of music's great mysteries. A 35-year-old genius, composing until his final breath, whispering notes of the requiem that someone else would finish. Some say he was poisoned, others that he simply worked himself to death. But there is another theory, one that resurfaced after the discovery of the Symphonia Ultima, that Mozart wrote one last piece of music the world was not ready for, a symphony that drove him to madness. The page found in Vienna wasn't complete. Only 16 measures survived, the beginning of what might have been the first movement. But musicologists who analyzed the fragment found something impossible. Within those 16 bars lay a harmonic structure that mathematically shouldn't exist. Chords that resolve backwards, intervals outside the known scales of the 18th century. And yet, it sounds eerily familiar, like something composed centuries later, as if Mozart had somehow heard the future. One music researcher, Dr. Lena Hoffman, ran the sequence through spectral analysis, the same software used to detect subliminal harmonics in digital recordings. The result? A pattern emerging between the notes, invisible to the naked eye. When visualized, it formed a shape, not random, not noise, but a perfect spiral. The Fibonacci sequence. A pattern found in galaxies, seashells, and the human ear itself. The implication terrified her, because if true, Mozart hadn't just written music. He had encoded nature itself into sound, and yet, somehow, the rest of the symphony was gone. No other pages have ever been found. But the fragment spread quietly online. A scan leaked from a private collection. Composers tried to complete the piece using AI, algorithms, or historical intuition. None of them succeeded. Every attempt ends the same way. The melody collapses into chaos, as if the music refuses to be finished. Some people online began calling it the music that rejects completion. Others went further, saying that when you listen to the digital reconstruction, faint whispers can be heard underneath the notes. Breathing, voices, even a quiet laugh, barely audible at low volume. Audio experts say it's just artifacts from the old analog recording, but those who've heard it say the same thing. It doesn't sound like Mozart. It sounds like something using his music to speak. There's an entry in Mozart's own letters, written just days before his death. He writes, "I hear it again, the same harmony from the night before. It is beautiful, and it terrifies me." Most historians dismiss it as delirium, the fever of a dying man. But what if it wasn't? What if that harmony was real? A pattern, a sound, something he heard that no one else could. The same pattern hidden inside the Symphonia Ultima. Here's where it gets darker. When Hoffman isolated the harmonic structure digitally, she noticed that one of the overtones, a faint high-pitched resonance, matched an exact frequency, 432.2 Hz. That number means nothing to most people, but for those who study tuning systems, it's sacred. 432 Hz is the pure resonance frequency, often associated with natural balance, the supposed frequency of the universe itself. the same frequency ancient civilizations tuned their instruments to, and somehow Mozart's lost fragment contained it, centuries before that concept even existed. Coincidence? Or did Mozart discover something beyond music? In 2022, a private recording leaked online, allegedly of an orchestra attempting to perform a reconstruction of the Symphonia Ultima in secret. It lasts 9 minutes, and halfway through the instruments begin to fall out of tune, not because of error, but because the sound itself starts to shift. The violins go sharp, the brass detune, and the air begins to hum with a low, throbbing vibration that's not part of the score. The conductor stops, and the recording cuts off abruptly. One of the musicians later said in an anonymous post, "It felt like the music was trying to play us." Maybe that's what makes Mozart's genius terrifying. He wasn't just composing music, he was decoding reality. Each note, each harmony, perfectly aligned to something deeper. Something that connects the physical to the divine. What if Symphonia Ultima wasn't meant for human ears? What if it was written for whatever was listening to him in those final nights? After Hoffmann's death in 2023, found in her home, headphones still on, her laptop open to the last frame of the spectral analysis, the digital files were seized by the Austrian Cultural Office. Her notes mentioned one final observation. The sound folds inward on itself. It's not unfinished. It's waiting. No one knows where the page is now. The archives deny its existence. And yet, late at night, deep corners of the internet still share versions of the melody. Slowed down, reversed, layered with reverb. They all sound different. But the same pattern remains, the spiral. Some say that's what genius really is. Not brilliance, but madness that brushes against the edge of something bigger. Something infinite. Something that doesn't want to be found. Maybe that's what Mozart heard. A harmony that wasn't from this world. And maybe, just maybe, that's why his music still echoes centuries later, because somewhere between life and death, silence and sound, he's still composing,